suppose we go straight away to the where we are now with Indian culture, capital I, capital C, and the various people who want to tell us what it is and how to practice it. I'd love to hear what you have to say about the experiences you've had through Prithvi or any other cultural practice where you've actually got a certain kind of censorship, which strictly speaking is not censorship, intimidation perhaps.
Well, it's interesting being in Bombay and the whole debate on the official censorship in itself is something that actually I think I haven't really spent enough time on in Bombay, but we have a censor board for theatre in Bombay and Gujarat, and so we have to get every script censored, and in a strange way that works, dare I say it, as a sort of protective measure in a weird way through these new forces that are getting more and more volatile in our field. So because you can say that my script is censored, you have that standing to go to the cops with to say, well, tell me what's wrong in what I'm doing. And that has happened. I have experienced these situations where I've actually had the backing. And what we very cleverly have managed to do over many years is have at least two theatrewalas who are our stooges, who are on the censor board, who get in there and get to know what's going on. And this has been the practice in Maharashtra at least for forever.
How does it work? Now this is because I was really thinking of the performance being censored, and you've taken us back.
Of course.
So how exactly does that work? So you have a
script. You have to send your script to the censor board. It takes usually at least a month. And in a festival situation where, for Prithvi, for instance, when we're inviting shows, we have to get them censored. Inviting shows from out
You're
of
using
the
word
state.
Censored. I'm sorry to interrupt, but you're really saying approved.
Yeah.
So it's a different sort of.
There's no certification, so they have to just see that there's nothing offensive. And I'll give you a few incidences, and then I'll give you there are the other stories, of course, which is a social censorship as well. One has faced both. So, for instance, the only time I've ever had to, I'm just reading a beautiful book by Shanta Gokhale on Satyadev Dubey and how he used to really play around with playwrights' works and turn the meanings upside down and change characters. I mean, he did treacherous things, but still playwrights, most of them adored him, except for one who took great umbrage to what Dubey did to his play. He actually got one character, the main character, to be played by 3 people. And so that playwright, at the same time, and this was in the 60s or 70s, went and produced the play himself. So simultaneously in Bombay, you had these 2 shows going on of the same play. Ironically enough, Dubey actually made this statement once when he was accosted by a young person saying, how could you do this? How could you mutilate the playwright's play? And Dubey, without ranting and raving, which was not his style, he did rant and rave a lot, actually silently said, the censor board has asked me to make cuts in this play, and I'm fighting them. I haven't made a single cut. I haven't changed a single word, but I've changed, how I'm presenting it. The playwright has made all the changes that the censor board has asked him to make, and yet he's doing the play. So this is really interesting. So given a completely different experience with, for instance, so one time I had. I'm not even going to mention them because I refuse to mention them. A very sidey Hindutva organization come and try and attempt to ban a play on M.F. Hussein's life by Nadira Babbar's company, Ekjut. And it was Pencil Se Brush Tak, I think it was called. It was actually quite a lovely play about his life, autobiography of his life. And they claimed that it was they basically were on a mission to stop anything that ever had anything to do with claiming that M.F. Hussain was a great artist. And they wanted to I went to their website and they wanted to put this on their website, yet another thing banned or stopped by them. And it was a great moment of glory for them that the play would be stopped at Prithvi Theatre. It was the most horrendous 2 days of my life. It was a weekend and I had to spend it in a police station talking to the cops, and my cops wouldn't talk to me locally. My local police station were too busy, so I had to go to the area superintendent, and he finally did meet us. He met them us and the producers together and had a 1-hour conversation and finally said, listen, you can do it, right? And the producers had decided to change the play ever so slightly with 1 or 2 scenes. Of course, they hadn't seen the play, the Hindutva outfit, but they came to see it. The only thing the cops asked me to do is get 2 members of the censor board to watch it again, because all I said was, you tell me what I'm doing is illegal, and I'll stop. I mean, am I doing something illegal? You've got to back me if I'm not. So he just said, get 2 members of the censor board to okay it again and see it. This is not a norm. Actually, the norm in Bombay is you have to have 2 seats reserved for the censor board. If ever they want to come and see a show, they can.
Every day?
Any day, anywhere in the whole of the state. This is supposed to be a norm. It never really happens. So I got 2 of my friends on the censor board to come and see the play, 2 playwrights, and they came. And of course, I muscled up all my theatre wallas to come and be my bouncers in case there was any ruckus on that day, and the cops came. So we were allowed to do the show, and the show happened. And the Hindutva organization had nothing to say. They sat there with their pen and paper and their phone, and I had the great thrill of being able to tell them to put their phone off during the show because it's not allowed. But there was nothing offensive about the show.